Hello and welcome to episode 305 of the Awesome Comics Podcast, the place where the small press makes one hell of a big noise. I'm Vince Hunt, writer of MI666, and joining me as always are the creator of the webcomic Vanguard, Dan Butcher.
Hello.
The writer of Mass Destruction that is Tony Esmond.
Hello.
And this week we're joined by a guest and a writer of Bette Noir, ACP fave, D.I.S.T.R.E.S.S, obviously with a name like that, it's clearly one of our favourites. Yeah. And Damsel from D.I.S.T.R.E.S.S. It's our pleasure to welcome Andrew Clemson to the show. Hello, sir.
Hi, guys. How you doing?
Good.
We are good. All the better for talking to you. I was about to say my dear. That would be a bit weird.
That's nice. I like that.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah. It's all right.
Yeah, it's all right.
Pleasant.
As always, there's 10 minutes that the listeners will never know about because we all
Last week you were accused of being Bird and Matthew's son, and that sort of sounds like the sort of thing he would say.
Yeah, which I'm surprised hasn't come back to bite me in ways.
I'd like to thank the people who sent pictures of my balls, though, this week. That was very nice of them.
Yeah, it's very nice. This is artwork, no people aren't literally going up to Tony and taking pictures.
No, I have to dangle them in front of the webcam occasionally just to help.
Oh,
but Steve Sims and Alan Henderson did them. Very nice.
Yes. There's an early shout out for you. But yes, Andy, as we're now friends, is going to talk to us about writing comics and his creations and his collaborations and more soon enough. And he's here. God bless him, he's with us for the whole show.
Why did he agree to that?
The fool.
That seems stupid. Yeah, you'll be all right.
Lets me lock myself away in a cupboard for a couple of hours.
Yeah.
Oh, God bless you. But before we get on to that, how is everyone this week? Are we well?
Living the dream.
Yeah.
Living the dream. You are.
Did you launch your Kickstarter, Tony?
No, have I mentioned it? I've mentioned it. I've only been on the air for 2 minutes. Yeah. I'm becoming a total twat, aren't I? Keep mentioning my Kickstarter. There you go.
Oh God. Well, there's going to be lots of links in the show notes.
Yeah.
I mean, there's always a show note for our lovely sponsor, Comic House. Yes.
Nice.
Fucking hell, V. That was smooth.
Thanks.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
We are the only show that congratulates ourselves.
I clenched my anus slightly when you said that, but I was like...
As do our lovely Pete and our lovely sponsors, Comic House, every week.
They also clench their anuses.
They do. Worried about what we're going to say when it comes to this ad. But they are a brilliant indie comic marketplace. And they love indie comics as much as we do. And if you go onto comichouse.com, there's a huge selection of titles on the database. People who self-publish can list their book on there and start selling straight away their hard copy books. But as always, we are pushing the digital app, which is brilliant. It's like Netflix for comics. Only £3 a month subscription service. And you get access to loads of brilliant digital indie comics that we've talked about in the past. There's stuff that's, we've had creators on there, and there's stuff being added to it all the time. Dan, what's on there at the moment?
We've got Explorers Lost in Time issue 1, Spare Keys for Strange Doors issue 5, and there's a whole new run of titles. Logan's Run Aftermath issue 1 to 5, I believe. And let's go on to the next page because there's quite a lot this week.
Dynamite books, aren't they? Are they Dynamite?
They're from Blue Water.
Oh, of course.
And
yeah.
We've got Vincent Price Presents. There you go, Vince. You might want to check that out. No,
I mean, we're not all friends.
No.
I mean,
you know him, though, don't you?
Yeah, I do know him. I talk to him occasionally.
Got Caspian Porter issue 1, A Gazillion Years from Home, and Viper. The special is now on Comic House, so you can go and check that out.
And you put it on Comixology as well.
I've uploaded it there, but it's not. That'll take several weeks before that's given the thumbs up. If it gets the okay, because there's C bombs, loads of F bombs. So
yeah,
we don't approve of cursing on this show. We just happen to be very good at it, and it just happens.
I got a feeling that when you first upload a title, you guys can either back me up or dispute this point.
Is this from Comixology?
You first upload a title to Comixology and they go through it with a fine-tooth comb, making sure you've got the 2 F-bombs in there, that's fine. And then after that, it's like, yeah, whatever, he's all right, he's done one.
Yeah.
Atomic Hercules is on there, so I don't think they've been that careful.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. I think sometimes things can get caught in a backlog. I know, for instance, Snake Claws, like some of the past issues went up quite quickly, but then he had a bit of a delay on issue 5.
He had loads go up on one day, didn't he?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. So... But enough about that. You should check them all. You can get all of Snake Claws on comichouse.com.
Yeah, that's a much easier place to get it.
Yeah.
And it's free.
Yeah.
If you subscribe.
Well, yeah, if you subscribe. Although there's a 14-day free trial you can find out about.
Yeah.
And dive headfirst into the amazing world of small press that we talk about every week. So go to comichouse.com.
May I say, Vince, your hair's looking very nice at the moment.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, make the most. I mean, if I use shampoo and conditioner, it is. I mean, we're talking primetime Michael Bolton lush.
Timotei advert time.
Oh God, man, it is. I mean, it's glorious. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I constantly look like I'm moving in slow motion.
Ron Perlman out of that Beauty and the Beast.
That's
well,
horrible.
it's
That's
funny you should say
hurtful.
that, Dan. What do you think that Ron Perlman's name was in Beauty and the Beast?
Vincent.
It was. I'm not.
Is that,
aiming, I'm
is
not
that who
aiming
you
for
were
it.
named after?
No.
He was named after the robot in Black Hole.
Were
Dan
you?
Butcher knows me, man.
Yeah.
He knows me. Yeah, I was.
Voiced by Rowdy,
Not Rowdy Roddy Piper. It was Roddy
That'd have been a whole
McDowell.
different film.
Although I'd love to see
that.
I love to see a version of the Black Hole where someone's edited in quotes from Rowdy Roddy Piper.
I'd watch that.
I must buy Hell Comes to Frogtown. I keep meaning to buy that again.
It is on Amazon Prime.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember watching it once, and that's just weird.
Yeah.
I watched it quite recently. It's alright.
I think it's on that. What's that DVD Blu-ray seller that's always got the sort of yellow and red spines, and it always has dodgy.
Arrow? Is it Arrow?
Sorry.
Is it Arrow?
No, it's a bit like Arrow.
Vinegar
I can't remember.
Syndrome?
Similar. Yeah, I do like Vinegar Syndrome. They're good.
Yeah. Andy, how do you feel about schlock? That's what we're
Schlock?
talking
Yeah, I
about.
love it, man.
Terrible sci-fi.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I write, isn't it? But
Get off.
no, I used to, like, when I was in uni years ago, we had a wall of terrible VHS. It was like lauded around the university, and people come around to borrow Blind Fury.
Hey, that's awesome.
The
I
joke,
like that.
Robot Jocks and things like that.
Robot Jocks is great. It's hard to get hold of now. Crash
Is
and
it?
Burn, Crash and Burn, which is like an unofficial sequel, is easy to get. That's on DVD,
Yeah.
but Robot Jocks isn't, I don't think.
Was that
Okay.
directed by Stuart
No,
Gordon?
we had a few of those.
It was directed by Stuart Gordon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Random, that is. Which is why Jeffrey Combs has a tiny sort of walk-on part because he was friends.
I sent you
I
a
didn't know
video
that.
trailer earlier, didn't I?
Yes.
Yes.
What was that? It was.
Wham Bam, Thank You Space Man.
Which what did you say as well, Tony?
Well, it's
'Cause,
this. I'm watching
I mean,
it.
it was
It's like
you were a little
it's
bit
a sort of
opinionated.
70s porn film. There's a lot of hair on show. Do you know what I mean? And it's just these crap spacemen come down, bone ladies, and right in the middle of it, there's just a vampire, just suddenly out of nowhere. It looks like the dude who played Blackula. You know that dude?
Yeah.
Just randomly in the middle of it, and it really put me off it. I was really enjoying it, and I thought, oh, there's a vampire. Well, they're not keeping
Broken the
law,
immersion.
are they?
Yeah.
Yeah, they've gone off Bible.
That
with
brings
that,
us round
mate.
to writing, doesn't it? You can't, if
Yeah.
you're going to introduce a concept, it's got to be in the first couple of pages. You can't suddenly
Yeah, just suddenly introduce a
bring
vampire.
in a vampire.
Rubbish. Yeah.
You mean it really took you out of the moment? Is that what it was? You were like,
Well,
oh,
it
this
stopped.
is unrealistic.
It stopped me doing something. Yeah, I had to stop. It just pissed me off.
Oh God.
Approaching the vinegars. There's that. No, come on.
I mean, hand to gland combat. You know what I mean?
I've never heard that before. There are writers everywhere making a note of that. Yeah, as well they should.
Someone's just stolen that for their Twitter profile, I think.
Yeah. Oh, Agent of Hand, but it's like HAND. Oh God! See,
Anyway,
it's
back onto writing. Nice
Yeah,
nicely
right.
done.
Yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, because I mean, you've sort of come out of the gate, Andy, with your work. I mean, just sort of over the past couple of years, like D.I.S.T.R.E.S.S and Bette Noir and Damsel from Distress. You've come out firing on all cylinders. I mean, what? How did you get started in how long have these ideas been?
So, I tried to do, like the next big thing. Like I was sat down, thinking, oh yeah, one day I'll get to writing something, and when I do, it's going to be the Dark Knight Returns and all this kind of bollocks,
Yeah.
So I was sort of doing that, and I got, I was on like issue 3 of a planned 100-issue series, and I just got so bored that I
Why
wrote
issue
down
3?
Yeah, it was like I was like, this is going to be
Cerebus.
so good.
Yeah,
I'm going to lay these seeds, and then in issue 100, it's going to pay off, and that's when I get my Eisner. Like, so I was doing all this kind of stuff, and I just for a break, I think I'd read that sort of Lobo reboot, and I just hadn't felt it, and I thought as a joke, I just wrote down this whole thing.
Emo,
I called
that
it
one.
Yeah, like Emo Bo, where he was.
He
looked like he was in like a sort of new metal band.
Yeah.
And I just did a little paragraph called "The Ballad of the Star-Bastard," which I just rewatched Young Ones, and Rick's favorite show in that is Bastard Squad. So I was like, this is really good. So I did this thing, and I just did it as a bit of a joke, and I sent it to the artist that I was talking to, and they, whereas I was, going, please, this is my big thing. Do you want to draw it? I gave them that, and two of them straight away emailed back within 5 minutes going, can you write this? Like, can we do this? So
you were talking to them about like the epic sort of like, and then you threw something completely different at them. Did you sort of say, this isn't what I was originally writing, or did you act like Star Bastard was the epic thing?
No, it was literally just like on Facebook Messenger, just like, lol, look at this, took a break, send them this kind of thing, and they were just into it. So chatting to a few of them, and then sort of Jethro did some designs, and I was like, oh yeah, this could be quite a funny thing to do. So did like one of them just to get it out, and then did that on Kickstarter, and it did quite well, got good reception, and I was like, shit, now I've got to do more of it. Whereas it was just like a little sort of one and done, jokey story. But we did two of them, and then Scout picked it up. So then I had to do 6.
Oh, nice. That's good. Yeah, I think good ideas come like that. Me and Falpy often just chat about stuff, and that's the reason we do stuff sometimes. Just say stupid things to each other. Yeah.
But it's also like if it's just a bit of a laugh, like, and you're having fun with it, it's easier. Like, you're doing it and it's enjoyable, and it's less stressful. It's not necessarily going to come out and be a timeless classic and win all the awards, but it's something you're going to enjoy, and if you enjoy it, that means inevitably someone else is going to enjoy it.
I think that's the idea, man. It translates over, doesn't it?
There's all these books that we love that they're pretty dark, and you've got to be in the right headspace for it. But especially when you're a writer, going into that sort of a dark place to talk about, I don't know, the death of ancient gods in Greece, and all these real heavy sort of things. You had to be in that headspace and to write
feelings.
That. Feelings. But that, I mean, it can be tiring, can't it? Where sometimes I know, when I've tried to write something like more serious, and it's like, oh god, this is harder, and it's like, right, someone's just gonna get slapped in the face, and then I write and I go, I like this. This is more enjoyable.
I'll throw a fart joke in here.
Yeah. There's always room for that.
I think when you're doing serious stuff as well, there's no room for errors. That if you don't land it, you can just look at it as this was, a bad attempt at something, or this is, 5 out of 10, whatever. It was a good attempt, a good try, but it didn't quite land. Whereas if
connection is harder, comedy, I think, with dead serious stuff, connection can be a lot harder. Whereas comedy, I mean, everyone would laugh at something, wouldn't it? If you get
comics should be, what's that phrase that Vince Bond used? Comics should be ridiculous, and I would say comics need to be fun a lot of the time, don't they?
Yeah,
that's what we spend a lot of our spare time reading them, and I want to have a laugh.
Yeah. I mean, I struggle to, there's a lot of stuff, a lot of classics I still haven't read, same with films, like classic films that I never get around to watching because, like, I have a day at work, I've got a young kid, at the end of the day, I just want to put something on that I can just relax and, have a good time watching.
Geordie Shore.
You're right, kind of, you don't want kind of like being preached at by something or something that takes too much kind of
and there's you should really watch this. It's like, I know this is good. I can tell it's going to be very good. I am not in the headspace to watch something this grim.
Yeah, I'm not really up for watching Schindler's List this morning over breakfast. Do you know what I mean? It's a bit like that, isn't
With
it?
With your Cocoa Pops.
Yeah.
And especially like during the last year, you've been stuck at home. Like we ended up just rewatching old comedy series. Like we must have watched, like Only Fools and Horses, but like Friday Night Dinner. I think we watched that. Back to back like 100 times just because
I watched It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. And that's exactly why I did that. No, I really enjoy Starbusters, man. I read it for the first time. He sent it to me the other day. I read it for the first time this morning, actually, and I read it in a oneer. I sort of set aside an hour, and it's great fun, mate. It really is.
It's a quick read,
but it's not super quick, but it's a page turner. Do you know what I mean? That's how I feel about it. Yeah,
and
it hits all the right ones.
Yeah,
I think it's got genuine laughs in it, that's important, especially if I mean, the name will immediately let you know what you're in for. But I think with sci-fi comedy and stuff as well, a lot of people try it, and sometimes
there's
it can
too
be
many
derivative.
cliches to fall into with stuff.
Yeah.
I think people end up doing Hitchhikers too obviously, or Red Dwarf too obviously. There's all these little things, Spaceballs or something like that.
Or they like Firefly. You can read something and just think, someone likes Firefly.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to be careful. You see something someone else has done, think, oh, that really works, and then try to do your spin on it, but it ends up being nothing more than what they done it light. It's always like, if you're going to kind of tell a story, you got to tell the story from your perspective, because that's going to be unique. Don't try and imitate someone else, because I
think it's got a strong. It's got a strong. Interrupting me. It's got a strong premise that works, and everything that surrounds it and sort of orbits this character, which I really like. But it's not particularly. I mean, you could read this in 2000 AD. It's not like super adult. That's not what I'm saying. But it has some touchstones that perhaps the more sensitive members of the world could seize upon. Not me, obviously, but yeah.
Did you have any?
I sent it out to.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, go on.
I sent it, when I did issue 1, and I was like, this is wicked. Like, I'm going to send this out to everyone, review it. You still think, like, I'm pleased with this. People are going to pick it up and they're going to enjoy it. And you get 1 or 2 positive reactions, get a bit cocky. And I remember sending issue 1 to like a website which was like, women reviewing comics or something. And I got this like 1-sentence reply that just said, "Hi, I don't think this is very funny. Best of luck." It did not go down.
I don't think you're very funny. You should have emailed back. That's what I'd have done.
God.
But it's you quickly again like that. I wasn't very deep into like indie comics at that point. Like I was reading the stuff that was hitting the shelves, but I had no experience of the community and learned what it's like to put one out. And you quickly realise that your stuff is going to be, for the bulk of people, it's going to be Marmite. Like, there's going to be some people who absolutely love it, and there's going to be some people that detest it.
If it satisfied everyone, mate, it would be no good. That's the way I see it sometimes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I generally just had positive reactions to it. There's stuff, I'd go back, and probably change, but you can't really do that, can you? No. And sort of sanitize things to make it more palatable. And I try, we tried to sort of balance out the sort of machismo of the main character with the female lead who actually does all the work and fixes all the shit he does. But it's a comedy book at the end of the day. And
exactly, and it is funny, man. It is funny. Yeah, I liked it. I like that sense of humour. Yeah. And you're right. Weird. He is ridiculous, though, isn't it? So you do. He is a ridiculous character as well as being sort of an accidental hero and stuff.
Yeah, it's like I pitched it. When I pitched it to Scout, I pitched it as Eastbound and Down in space. Like I don't know if you've ever seen that.
Yeah, you would have had me on that.
So, like that was the pitch. So maybe that's what got him. That's the thing. It's just this terrible, character who cares about just himself and doesn't really pay attention to what's going on around him because he doesn't have to because he's. Do
you want to give a little summary of the story because people may not have read this who are listening?
I to be honest, don't know what the story is. I can't remember that. It's basically like if you threw all of these, like it's called Starbastard. Like if you threw all of these classic space star bastards of fiction into a blender, Captain Kirk and Lobo and
Ice Pirates,
and Pete Quill, Ice Pirates, and you threw them all in, but you accidentally threw in some like Sid James. Like that's what you'd end up with is this sort of character that's just drinking and shagging his way around space. And
did I sign my IP over to you around this? I can't remember now. That was
yeah. I mean, it's almost
it's just that.
Yeah, it's space.
That's what
Tony.
It says on the tin.
That's what this is. Space Tony.
If only I got that much tail. He does a right for a right ignoramus, doesn't he? I got to tell you. Yeah. I really laugh when he sort of hijacks this holo suite, doesn't he? At one point, and he's getting like he's made lap dancers to dance for him, and the sort of the woman in it who is actually the hero, who's sort of cyborg, I'm guessing, she rewires it so it's a man stripping off in front of him, which just made me laugh. That did make me laugh, that one.
Which character, that's supposed to be me apparently. Jethro was like, I drew the face.
I get that now. Yeah, I do get that now. Did you send him many pieces of reference?
Because it's a weird face to put on that.
I can see that, man.
I just sent him neck down. The rest of it he made.
Yeah. You're surprisingly hairless.
But,
yeah.
Yeah, well, it takes a lot of maintenance. It's finding the pink thongs. That's the difficult bit out here.
Yeah, you have to go shopping for that. Yeah, I imagine they're big in Dubai.
So it's just this, it's this big invulnerable douchebag, bastard that goes around space, getting into trouble, drinking, and fighting people. And at some point, about halfway through, I had to sort of try and think of a story to go with it. So we had this thing about he's lost his memory, he doesn't know where he comes from. So over the 6 issues, you discover his origin and it sets
like
up
left as a mystery, isn't it? A bit really. You sort of. After you laid that down, I kept expecting him to bump into the. You lay it down as a bit of a mystery, don't you? That so, I kept expecting you to bump into him, his real. He's maybe a clone or something like that going on, an alternate universe version or something. I keep expecting the real person to bump into him.
Did you finish it?
Yeah. Have I missed that bit? Oh yes.
Yeah. So yeah. By the end.
Yeah. And the bastard really comes to the fore. With Starburst, what learnings did you take from that for like moving forward for the next sort of couple of series you were doing? Because you're sort of, the first arc of Starburst is done, isn't it? And the trade is out with Scout Comics now. How did the Scout?
That's interesting.
So
you
did
2 issues of Starbastard, and then did you pitch to Scout, or how did that come about?
I after I'd done the second one, I think it was after the second one, but me and my wife went to the States on holiday, and while we were in Florida, and there was a Comic-Con in Miami, so we sort of took a road trip down, from Orlando, classic British tourist thing, down to Miami, and then went to this Comic-Con, and I met a chap there called James Hake, who was at the time, he was doing a book called Solar Flare that he was funding on Kickstarter. And met him, added him on Facebook, all this kind of stuff. And I saw a few months later he'd signed Solar Flare to Scout, which I'd never heard of Scout before.
Yeah, a bit of an up and comer at the time, weren't they? Yeah,
it was like 2017, I think, at the time. So I just thought, I'll give it a go, because I'd done the Image thing and all this kind of stuff and heard nothing, and I sort of pitched it to them, and they came back straight away and said, we'll have this, here's the contract, all this kind of stuff. And then I later on found out that James had become part of the company and stuff, so I don't know if there was an in there or anything like that, but I think I got in just at the right time, because they've become quite big now.
So they have a combination of publishing, don't they? Because they translate. It's becoming more and more popular now to translate bande dessinée, isn't it? So they do a bit of that, but they also put out original content as well, I think, don't they?
Yeah.
From what I can see.
Well, I don't know I'm not sure about the translation thing. I know they do. There's an Italian chap called Stefano Cardellini, I think it is. Cardellino. Right. They do a lot of stuff from him, and I presume that's maybe from, it's been out already. But they seem to pick up a lot of successful crowdfunding books.
I get you. Yeah.
And pick those up. So there's I think like Frank on the Farm, and there's a bunch of American ones they've picked up.
Yeah, we had Jordan on the show before.
And Drex was on there, and so you look at you look at the. It's a murderer's row of fantastic indie comics and indie series, on their website, and it's an amazing lineup.
They seem to just get more and more all the time as well. Yeah. Like it's like I say, from when I gave them this, like I think they had maybe like 10 things that they'd published or something, and now it feels like they release 10 new ones every month. Like they're just constantly announcing this and bigger and bigger stuff.
Yeah.
So
and it's all really good.
They've got good connection.
Yeah. Can I ask if you've signed for the next run of it or anything like that, or?
Well, they've said they'd take it, but it's Jethro's at Marvel now. I think so. Yeah, he has announced it. So he's drawing a book for Marvel. So it's I've written a bunch of it, but it's kind of up in the air. I've got a couple of other things I want to get out in the meantime, and he's got stuff. So I think we'll come back to it. We did a crossover book with another Scalp book called Loggerhead.
This is Loggerhead. I've got that in front of me. You kindly sent that to me. Yeah.
So that was Brian Silverback's an American chap. He does a bunch of variant covers for Aftershock and Scout and Image and all this kind of stuff. And he had this character, and he wanted to do something, so we did that. And they had another crossover from Gut Ghost and Stabbity Bunny at the same time. So it was like a nice little forward into that old school crossover thing, that was happening in the 90s. So it was nice to tick that off and say I'd done a crossover with someone else. But definitely come back to it.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
If only to sort of try and take back some of the Google searches from Space Bastards, because that's coming. Humanoids?
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I almost picked that up because I thought it was your book when I was in the shop last week, but I didn't. Shit. Obviously, I didn't pick it up because I realised it wasn't you. That was a weird one, wasn't it? That must have irked you somewhat, wasn't it?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think I looked into it, and they did come out a while back. I think they had a Kickstarter in 2013 for an issue. So I think you can't really have any hard feelings. They kind of did it first, and they're different enough. And then what can I do? It's Derek Robinson. You can't really compete with that, can you?
Well, we know people. If you're,
Jackie Chan tapping on my fucking toes this week.
Did you?
Film, Vanguard.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
They filmed that here, I think.
Really?
I think I had some people that worked on it. Yeah.
I think he did that other one here, didn't he? He did that one about the IRA here, didn't he?
He goes where they do big tax
Jackie Chan's in the IRA.
He fights the IRA. Doesn't he fight Paddy McGuinness or something in it, doesn't he?
He's supposed to. I was
just imagining him trying to do an Irish accent.
Yeah. I think it's called The Foreigner. It's actually quite good. I actually don't know how they got away with, because they actually imitate some actual IRA people in it. I'm thinking,
is that him?
Isn't Pierce Brosnan basically?
Yeah, he's
what do you call it? What's the name? Chap's name? Well, that guy.
Yeah, he is. It's basically he does an impression of him. He has the false teeth that he has, doesn't he? Yeah. Yeah, it's very strange.
It's the Jackie Chan hour.
Oh well, good luck fighting Jackie Chan then.
He's old, Dan. You'll be all right.
It's all right.
Yeah. Oh, God,
I'm not going to start doling out threats to Jackie Chan online.
Yeah.
I'll do it
again.
Maybe have it as a reward. Video it and then have it as a reward on your next Kickstarter. Yeah.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like me being brutally beaten up by Jackie Chan in the street.
Just murdered by an old man.
Oh, we've all been there.
Oh dear. Yeah, so I mean, obviously, like Star Bastard, you've got this sort of IP, and like, I guess, is it something where it's a true collaboration? It's you and Jethro that have come together and created this thing. So I guess you're not going to continue with it until you can get the band back together.
Sorry.
That kind of thing.
Yeah, sorry, I lost you there. I'm just guessing what you said, but yeah, if it was, when are we waiting for the right time? Yeah, it'll be a case of doing it. I think we've talked about being, pretending to have giant egos and doing like an oversized hardcover or something, and sort of doing that because obviously, Scout have got all the trade and all the books and everything, but we could do another version on Kickstarter, with the crossover maybe, and I'd done a sort of, having read it back, I was like, well, we kind of need to tell people what's going on in this, so I'd written like a sort of prequel, like an origins thing of why these people would put up with this asshole space captain in the first place.
Yeah,
Vince and Dan can give you a few ideas there.
Yeah, what putting up with an arsehole. Yeah.
We could have another crossover.
Yeah.
What a crossover that would be. But obviously, like, I mean, while that you've got a solid foundation there, but you're creating other. I mean, you're creating other sort of your own universes and IP as well, aren't you? With like Bette Noir and now Damsel from D.I.S.T.R.E.S.S, which is now like pushing forward onto. I guess with Damsel, you're following the same sort of format that you had with Starbuster, because I noticed you funded the first issue, but now you're funding the next couple of issues, aren't you?
Well, it's kind of like weirdly, Damsel came about from basically, I was writing Starbuster. My wife does what I think a lot of people do. Like, when are you going to put me in your comic? Like, I want to be in this comic. And I was like, well, you don't want to be in this one. So I'll save that for something else.
Yeah, save that for private times. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's a different story. But did Damsel, and there is a lot of similarities. Like, someone I know read it and said, oh, this reads a bit like Fantasy Bastard. Like, it's still like a sort of cocky hotshot character that's, one-liners and quips and stuff like that. But it's definitely, I'm the big difference is I'm planning it from the start as opposed to, just winging it by the skin of my teeth all the way through. So we got like Hassan Otsman Elhal to come on as editor, who just completely transformed.
Didn't he? Is that right?
No, so I had on Starbuster and Bette Noir we had HDE doing it.
Oh, okay.
But for this one, I was going to get him on as letterer, and I just thought, why not have him, because he knows what he's talking about. Like, so he kindly agreed to come on as editor as well. And it's just such a learning experience of having someone that knows, because I'm writing this sort of comedy nonsense really, and having someone that knows what they're doing come on and add this level of know-how to make it into a proper story at the same time. It's just it's a completely different experience. So
it's been a whole new sort of learnings then for this.
Yeah.
And you got a similar sort of arc, like 6 issues.
Yeah. So we're doing 5, and the reason we're doing 2 and 3 as a campaign, like we've just decided, we did the same thing with Bette Noir. You can only fit so many Kickstarters in a year. You've got to sort of really, if you're going to be ethical and moral about it, you've got to finish one before you do another one. So it's purely a way of, we had a lot of comments saying, how long have I got to wait for issue 2? And really, if you do one issue at a time, you've probably got to wait 6 months, especially when you're leapfrogging projects and expecting someone to just buy a single issue every 6 months. You end up just getting people waiting for the trade, which means you never fund the singles.
Yeah. So especially if it's an ongoing, isn't it? If you're just doing one shots, it's a different kettle of fish. Yeah. But if it's an ongoing story, people are going to be invested, aren't they, in a different way?
Yeah. So we're just doing. I think that's what I'll do for everything now. Is kind of 2 issues at a time, or maybe an oversized, call it a 48-page single or something like that. And it means I can squeeze a bit, maybe one more project in a year. So we'll do 2 and 3, and then we're back to Bette Noir after that for issues 4 and 5 of that, and then after that it's 4 and 5 of Damsel.
Oh, all right, okay.
So have you scheduled? Does that mean you've got a clear schedule of these projects in terms of not just the campaigns themselves, but because with as we know, when we've talked enough about Kickstarters, you have the campaigns, you have the delivery of those campaigns, and then you have another campaign, isn't it? It's not like, because running a campaign one after another, that's if you ended one and then started another one,
it's draining too. Eh? Like you kind of need to just sort of sit in a quiet room and cry for a week after you've done a Kickstarter, because it's just so draining. Like, please give me money. Like, for a week, 30 days, you're just like, please, I need this. So like, you need that time to decompress afterwards. But also, someone's got to do it, because I'd love to have everything finished before it went to the campaign, but fronting all of that cash to be able to get everything done it's very difficult, especially when you're doing multiple things. So we need a month to 6 weeks to get everything completed. Then it's got to go to the printers, and it's got to come back and shipped out to everyone, and really you can't ask someone for money from another thing until you've
I agree totally. And people are suspicious of Kickstarters at the best of times, aren't they? Because not you, but other people have been like a bit lax, haven't they? You know.
Oh man, there's some terrible ones. I know, there's the famous ones, but you can see people there's a few people you can see on Kickstarter and like the other one, Indiegogo and all that kind of stuff. But people that launch issue one after issue one after issue one of completely different things, and none of them ever get fulfilled. It's just like it's clearly just a way of making the thing, adding it to a catalog on, in the hope you're going to sell that IP catalog to someone else. That's the only way I can sort of interpret it.
I have to say, I've got a few things that I've been waiting literally years for on Kickstarter, but Indiegogo's as bad. I know people do make an awful lot of coin on Indiegogo, but there's some stuff on there that I've been waiting for 2 years.
That's stuff I backed, and I don't know what's happened to it. I just forgot about it.
And that's the problem. When you back so many, sometimes you forget what you've bought, don't you? It's like when you go to the shops and you go, I completely I can't remember picking that up.
And Indiegogo doesn't have an app, does it? It doesn't have a phone app. So at least I keep track of Kickstarter on the phone app. But I don't think there's one for Indiegogo, no.
So when you have a campaign, you can have an app to track your campaign?
No, there's a Kickstarter app.
Yeah, you got a Kickstarter
app. That's how completely removed I am from society.
And the Kickstarter app is a bit crap. I was looking at it. We're looking at it for the one we're doing now, and it's good for people who are buying things from Kickstarter, but it's not so good for people who are running things from Kickstarter. You have to go over in the browser to look at the who's backed you, for example, and stuff like that. Yeah. It's a funny system.
I've missed messages so many times. People will message you saying, in some occasions, they'll be like, I want to give you hundreds of pounds. Can I please combine these two crazy things?
Yeah, exactly.
Everything. And you miss it because it just doesn't. Yeah.
I wish they could separate the creator and the buyer thing of it, because, you know what I mean? I back books and then someone's got in touch with me saying, oh, my issue hasn't turned up. But then I'm getting loads of messages saying, oh, this book's now available on Kickstarter. This is digital rewards. And I miss the important one that someone said they haven't got their book yet.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? All the messages are just thrown into one.
Yeah.
I wish there was
the whole thing gives me a headache to deal with. I was talking about this one because we've got Damsel launching in a couple of days, and I was talking to Matt Hardy, who's publishes Bette Noir for me, who does a ton of Kickstarters, and he's like, "Oh yeah, you can just add on this and you can do this and and I'm just like, that sounds like a nightmare. I just want to have the thing. I would love it if it was just digital copy, printed copy, and then that's it.
No stretch goals. Just do the digital and the printed, and then that'll be all right. Yeah, I know the problem you've got though is you've got a back catalogue, so you wanna have that tier where people who didn't read issue 1, for example, can go back and get it as well. So you've got that reprint, haven't you? You know.
Yeah, I mean, this is the first time really I've got that, and it stresses me out thinking that maybe that will make it more successful. Because it's just more people have to ship comics to. So the best one, Star-Bastard, the best I did was $1.50 or something when it was on Kickstarter, and then I did 10 times that almost with Damsel. So it's just stressing me out to the point where I now get people to do all the printing and packing and facilitation for me, just because it lets me focus on the other stuff.
That's good stuff, man. Yeah,
and plus you're funding 2 issues as well, aren't you? It's 2 and 3. Yeah. It's not like an issue 1 and then you're just dealing with that one product. You have to schedule obviously the release of 2 and 3. Yeah, there's lots of factors to think about.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the thing now, and there's one where it's you get all of the stuff, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different comics of different covers. Okay. And I just, that's just.
We're having that problem at the moment because we've got 3 back issues. We're doing the 4th, but we've also got Adam's put out a book, and people are saying, "Oh, can I get this book, your old book, as well?" Because I now missed out on that one, and so we're having to change the tiers, and we're like, "Oh God!"
And you've got variant covers stuff as well, haven't you? Variant
we have
covers.
done, yeah. The other thing I think is worth mentioning
is the title.
I know. And you got to go to print for them because we haven't got enough stock, But I think the other thing that came up a couple of weeks ago with Purge is he said it's a good idea to add a retailer tier. And I thought about this week, and we've added one. And the reason being is you get a retailer tier, and we've had 2 retailers go for it actually on ours. It's been quite interesting.
That's nice, yeah.
So you say you get this discount on it, and we'll never match the diamond discount, which I think depending on the shop is 45 to 55%. Yeah. But we give a significant discount on it. Yeah, if they buy multiple copies. So it's like a 10 copy retailer tier. And then we email the retailers to say, we have got this special tier for you. Don't think you've got to go in and pay full price. You can go in and pay, the significant discount, which probably be a discount that you'll be paying for a small press in your shop anyway. And they can jump on that. And it's a way of distributing it to shops as well.
Yeah.
And I heard Perch talk about it. I thought that's an interesting. So we're giving it a go this time.
Okay, yeah. So,
I've never had takers from it. Like I've put it on them before, and people don't go for it. But what I've ended up doing, especially on the last Damsel one, I had it up there. No one went for it. What I did was the overprint that I had at the printer in the States, I distributed that to comic shops and just said, if you sell these, you can donate the money to like Hero Initiative or something like that.
Oh, good idea.
Like it was just because I haven't got a web store, and I can't really ship stuff individually. I can only really deal with it when it's in bulk. So I just thought, these are going to sit somewhere. So instead of that, they're paid for, the campaign's done, everyone's got what they need. So the excess all went off, and I just let people, sell it for charity. So that sort of got it on shelves.
Nice. Yeah.
Gave some of the money that we had over, we'd gone over what we needed. So it was fair to sort of redistribute some of that back.
Because you're working on a different sort of format to like a lot of creators who are sometimes they're doing the Kickstarters for obviously the people who pledge, but they're also building up stock for eventual conventions and stuff, all their web stores and stuff. But you're not working. Yeah. I mean, I'm guessing you're not looking at conventions. I mean, obviously no one's really looking at conventions much at the moment, but right now you're working almost exclusively through that sort of Kickstarter format of getting the publish. Is that your sort of way of sort of selling to people at the moment in stores, is through this sort of Kickstarter format?
Yeah, I mean, I don't. It would cost me to send an individual issue to someone to the UK. It would cost me like 15 quid, and it would, just in shipping, and then it would probably never get there because of the postal systems and everything. So it just I just don't maintain a store. I'm just doing it Kickstarter to Kickstarter, and then once it exists, I can hand it off to a publisher maybe, and then it's in the direct market, and what it makes in the direct market isn't something we're relying on to pay the team. So I'm more about paying the people that are making the book using Kickstarter, getting to zero, and then it can go to the direct market to reach more readers. But it's I just resigned to the fact that we do get a Comic-Con. We had ours in April, weirdly, last year.
All right.
And it was still all going, but usually we sort of plan holidays back to the UK around a convention. So I usually do like MCM is the only one that usually works for the time we get away. So I usually do that in London and take a suitcase of books or something. But obviously that's out. So it's just about getting the thing made, having it exist, and have people read it, and anything we get over the top, we redistribute somewhere.
What you're saying there kind of brings up the conversation that happens a lot, and more recently, of self-publishing versus publisher, which I think is a valid conversation. And there is a move slowly to self-publishing, isn't there? Again, because of the royalty issue with publishers. So publishers universally don't pay very much in royalties. No. I think is it 2000 AD pay 5%? I think something like that. It's quite regular.
My only experience has been with Scout, and it's a very good split. It's just the problem is you've got things like a diamond discount, which just pulls the rug out before the book's even got anywhere. There's no profits left, and then it gets split a bunch of ways. So if you're
like really handy, especially like for UK people, if you can get that sort of deal, that's a distribution to a whole new network that's one
of the pros, isn't it? The fact that you get your book beyond the bubble of your particular killer Kickstarter.
That's all I hope for from these publishing deals, is that it's I've got this thing short of digitally sharing it. I can't get it into shops, so I just see it as it's advertising it and selling it to a larger market. So I just think Kickstart, especially the way Scout does it, which they're happy for you to kickstart that stuff. They're happy for it to exist on this platform first. you get it paid for, everyone's happy, and then you push it out into the world.
Yeah.
And it exists. So I don't know, but again, I haven't had experience with many other publishers. So
yeah, I get you. It's an interesting area, isn't it? And it's one that's going to change the industry, I think. And you're right, that direct market diamond bite is a lot, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you're looking at making £1 on a book, you're not going to make £1 on a book if you go through diamond.
Yeah.
No, you'll get about 40 cents on a $3.99 dollars. You'll get about 40 cents on a book, I think.
Yeah. Right, I get you.
It's
and that's after print floors,
Yeah. There's all these certainly fascinating aspects to making comics. That is the different layers, because obviously there is the, if you're creating work going through a publisher, you obviously want to get what you should deserve. It's your work, but there's also the weighing up, getting it out to a bigger audience, which is why I guess when you're making works like Damsel, etc., you've got the joy of fulfilling making this book and getting it out to your audience, or for instance a Star Bastard, and then if someone like Scout, you've done what you wanted to achieve with it, and then if a publisher afterwards comes out and said, oh, this is great, we'd like to put this out as well, that's just an added bonus, isn't it? Because then you've already achieved what you wanted to achieve, and now you're getting the opportunity to get it out to a bigger audience.
Yeah, and also like a writer, like artists have the ability, they're more sought after. Indie writers need it, artists and everything, and artists can put up their portfolios and all that kind of stuff. It's much harder for a writer to break in.
With an artist that you're chummy with, it looks so amazing that someone steals them.
Yeah.
That's the biggest fear. I lose sleep over that. Like you get 3 issues out and then they're gone. Like luckily we did 6 and now Jeffro's at Marvel. But like it's
what's he doing at Marvel, dude? Sorry.
He's I don't know if
he's not allowed to say
actually public, but like he's definitely done like a sort of the first thing he did was like how did they phrase it? Different indigenous voices, I think it was.
Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah, another one. Yeah,
people from around the world. He's from the Philippines, and I think it's where there's different people, new emerging artists from
I get you.
Young guys type.
And this is Jethro Morales, who's definitely a name that everyone should have on their radar.
I mean, he's been doing stuff for years, man. Like he did a bunch of stuff for Dynamite. He's done Green Hornet, Vampirella, Army of Darkness, John Carter, all that kind of stuff. And the amazing thing is, his
style. It might be John Carter. I've seen his styling. Yeah, I do like his style, man. Yeah.
He did D.I.S.T.R.E.S.S. He's done a lot.
Ah, yeah, okay.
But he's one of those people where you get the pencils, and you could pretty much just scan them in and up the contrast, and it looks inked, like they're so tight. So yeah, he'll do amazing. He'll be on a huge thing soon, I think.
Yeah.
But
he'll probably forget you. Do you think? Or
yeah.
Yeah.
Probably, I don't blame him, to be honest.
I mean,
that'd be like that.
Which leads me to Mauricio from Damsel.
Yeah.
The art on that is stunning.
And the weirdest thing, Mauricio, like all these artists, like I found Jeffro on DeviantArt, which is a terrible place to spend time, but I found him on there. 2015 or whatever it was when I started doing it. But Mauricio, I was just looking for artists. I was just on Instagram, I think, and I was just looking for artists for Damsel, and I there was no sequential work. It was just pinups. Like he'd done some pinups of like Harley Quinn and a bunch of other people, and there was just so much like character and style in them that we went like there was another artist that we had that we were going to start the book with, and Mauricio just blew them out the water, and it was a completely different direction. But
it's also it can be a bit of a gamble, isn't it? I mean, because sometimes with a pin-up, there are a billion amazing pin-up artists out there. I mean, God knows I follow them on Twitter and Instagram, and you see I want the prints and I want them on the wall. But to do a sequential work,
it's a big difference.
It's a big difference. Isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, I mean, he showed me some sequential stuff after I started speaking to him, which was what sold me on him. Like he'd done a couple of comics of his own that he'd put online and then pulled down, and it's.
He reminds me a bit of he's got a bit of an animation background to him almost. Has he got a bit of that going on, or?
Yeah, he's he basically works in like games design. Like he did like a G.I. Joe game. It was the last thing he did. And there's a lot of that. But yeah, this one it's definitely lent more to the sort of. It's almost like a sort of boom Disney book. Like it's very fairy tale, but I think he's lent into that because of the content. I think it sells it more. But yeah, again, like I'm just like, holy shit, I have to get this guy to finish it because he's gonna get snapped up by someone. And even during Kickstarter, like we did the first Kickstarter campaign, and I was having messages going, "Hey man, do you mind? I'm a writer. Would you mind if I just like stole him for my own book?" I was like, "Sure, here's his email. Like, see what he says because you can't stop people from doing stuff." But
what did you do? Quickly create another email account and just give him that, and then
it was from Horacio Mara. No, man, he's really.
I know you can't do that, can you?
I know, he's involved in this as much as I am, luckily. So he's in it for the long haul. We've got the first volume, and then hopefully there'll be more after that because this is.
Is that something that you? I mean, because obviously, like you say, it's a true collaboration, isn't it? I mean, you've written it, but. From the sounds of it, like as you're talking out, you're bringing on collaborators rather than artists for hire, aren't you? They're adding a voice that you probably didn't even realise was there sometimes with some of
it's all of them. Like I would write Starbastard in thinking I know exactly because I work in TV and film. Like I can plan a shot and all that kind of stuff. But I would write the script and then. Luckily, Jethro would just go, "Nah, that's not going to work," and he'd just draw his own thing, and it would come in, and you go, "Hang on, this doesn't make sense, but it looks way better. Oh, I hate him. What is he doing?" It's just like you need the artist because the artist knows what they're doing. Like
there's always that line at the start of a script that says, "Look, this is the guidelines. If you want to do something different, then I'm utterly open to it." Yeah, I think there's.
Yeah, I just say that to them because my scripts are very. They're not. They're not. You wouldn't call them like Marvel style or anything like that. Everything's in there, but it's not like an Alan Moore thing where it's like and the teapot should be blue.
Do you think that's because you come from a film background, Andrew?
Yeah, I mean it's the film. The way film works is collaborative, right? You have to have even for a short commercial, which is stuff I do. You've got like a crew of 15 or 20 people at any time, and everyone has their job, and you trust everyone to do their job.
Yeah.
So. The writer does one thing and the storyboard artist does this, and then the DP and the camera department will interpret that a certain way. And, I'm very much, if someone else has a better way of doing it, I'm super open to it, and especially now I've got editors. Yeah. Just like when they tell you something doesn't work, like just believe them that it doesn't work. Because even if they're not your editor, even if it's a friend reading it, that's how a reader is going to read it. And if it doesn't make sense to someone else, there's no point sticking to it.
Alternatively, would you ever thumbnail something just to get the idea over of the sort of visual? Because there are some visual gags in it. It's just a sort of visual gag.
Yeah, I have done. Like, I've sent just like sent artwork back and say, I'd really like it if this was here in the foreground, or it's more like with Jethro somewhat, but with Chris who draws Bette Noir, there's a real like language barrier. So he will not understand some of the references sometimes.
Okay, yeah.
So it would be a case of having to like, hang on, here's a YouTube link of this thing, or here's a shot that's similar. Can you please, even I had a script I was doing the other day for an anthology and sent it to Chris, and it was literally a panel description that said, this guy gestures over his shoulder to a barmaid, and he's like, what does gesture mean? What does these kind of things? So it's just about having this back and forth between everyone and making sure they're getting what they want.
And that
because at the end of the day, they've got to put their name to it. So
when you're trying to, and there is an art to writing a script, it does include a lot of giving emphasis and describing stuff in a certain way to get a certain vibe. And I think I do stuff like I said something in the script the other day about these are the sort of women who'd appear on Loose Women. I was trying to, and I actually included a screenshot because the dude I was working with is English as a second language, and just because I knew he just wouldn't get it, but I just really wanted that vibe to it, I include little photographs in my scripts quite a lot as well.
How did they respond to you?
Yeah, good man. Yeah, I'll show you it later. Yeah, all right. Yeah. But
yeah, it's I love having other people do stuff that I hadn't thought of, like just changing stuff around and seeing it, because you just get stuck with it in your head, right? And the first thing you do is the one, at least for me, the first way you see something, I can't see it another way until someone else shows me.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I really enjoy that.
Yeah. Do you ever partially write a script and send it over, or is it always in one? Is it an issue in one lump and you send it over, or do you maybe send half of it and then anything like that?
No, I mean, I tend to, as soon as I think of something, I will knock out a first issue. Like, whether it's good or not, that just gets it. It's kind of cements in my mind that it's a thing.
I get you. Yeah.
So that exists. And then if I ever, because you find, especially, once you start publishing stuff, you get artists going, hey man, this is great. I really enjoyed it. It'd be great to do something sometime. And it's good to have something you can send to them, like, well, here's a few scripts that I've started. Do any of these float your boat? And if they say, oh, that one's cool, then I go back and I start, filling in the gaps and working on it more, or things like that.
Yeah.
But I rarely do like half a script or anything like that.
Okay. The other question, I do this, don't I? I'm always curious to see if other people do. But do you do like a Bible document with all the names and stuff in it?
No, I'm terrible. Like, it's really, really terrible to the point where I understand everything that's happening. Even back with Starbastard, like I wrote the thing without ever sort of explaining that he was invulnerable. Like, it was just like, oh, that in my head, yeah, obviously. But like,
yeah.
I think you do it, especially when you spend so much time with these things. They're just in your head, right?
I do it
just
for
like,
names, because I'm always crap at remembering names. Yeah.
I have to go back issues and say, what was that guy's fucking name?
Yeah, that's what I do a lot. Yeah.
I'm trying to remember if I'd given a character a surname, so I had to go tracking back. I didn't.
I hate naming characters, man. It's the word. It gives me such anxiety, because every name you think of, you remember someone you knew with that name, and you think, oh, are they going to see this? Are they going to take offense to this? So I'm just there constantly trying to think of names that
I do that on purpose. I like doing it. Yeah, I've got one of my best friends is a guy called Noodles, he's a character in a comic with
as soon as you said that name, a lot of people who have read Atomic Hercules are probably going, Noodles.
The one with the really long noodle-like knob. Yeah.
Real highbrow character. That.
Yeah.
Noodle-like knob.
Again, that's another Twitter. I'm going to change my Twitter handle.
Yeah.
Probably lose me some backers though, so maybe not till after the campaign.
Yeah.
You don't want them anyway if they don't like that. They don't like noodle knob.
One of the things I was saying on Twitter was about marketing your title. It's kind of, I find the whole creation aspect of comics, I absolutely enjoy it, but the marketing aspect and getting people to see your work and getting out there, I find that interminable, really tricky. I don't like it. How do you get around it, Andy?
I hate it. I hate it with a passion. Like, I'm terrible. Like, when I go and table at a convention, like the last MCM I did, we were sharing with Jordan and Clark and Matt, and people would come up and go, ha ha ha, Starbastard. Oh, tell me about what this is, because the name drags them in, and then I have to try and sell it. And I'm like, yeah, it's all right, but have you read this thing over on the next table? Like, I just completely deflect to other people's stuff. Like, I can say great things about other people's work, but I'm like, it's all right. Like, you could buy this.
We've done that, haven't we? That's essentially.
Yeah, that's right. I tend to revert to I had fun writing it. Then I feel like in my head I'm not bragging or anything like that. That's kind of where I go with it,
I just find myself saying it does what it says on the tin, or is what it is. Like,
it's what it is. That famous sales quote. Yeah. I'm the same way. Yeah.
But usually, as long as they're laughing still at the title, I can quickly get a sale out from it. But it's weirdly, I thought that one in particular, I thought, the UK, it would do much better, but it does way better in the States. Don't know what it is. And there's so many like English things that I've missed in the script, where he's calling people love or, mate and things like that. But yeah, the Americans seem to dig it.
They love us over there, don't they?
And I've got a script that I'm doing at the minute.
Meghan Markle? Is that the name of the new script?
No. The new one is just called Slag.
Yes.
It's a crime book, and it's basically just like, I don't know, it's a bit like Minder if Guy Ritchie directed it. So it's just all Cockney rhyming slang all the way through. And I just did it because if you've ever played Chaz and Dave to an American and they don't understand it at all, and I just find it hilarious.
Just trying to explain Cockney rhyming slang to Americans is a nightmare. And I slip into the odd bit of Cockney rhyming slang. Yeah.
They just struggle with general, English. Like, the London English, like, or any kind of English. If it's not, oh, hello, Queen's English style, you can see them struggle with it sometimes if you're speaking too quickly. So I'm doing a whole book just to confuse Americans now.
Is it? I mean, is it genuinely called slag?
Yeah.
They'll probably think it's like the stuff that comes out of an ironwork.
Just slag.
Yeah. You slag.
You slag.
I said that on a postcard recently. I thought she was a bit of a slag. Yeah, it's not used enough, is it? Slag. It's a good one.
No, and it's such, you can use it for so many different things as well. It's got so many different meanings.
Yeah. It was also one of the Dinobots. It was a Dinobots. With Transformers, which used to make me laugh. When I was a kid.
Yeah, that's the one.
There's so many bits. There's so many rhyming slangs for the C word as well. It's brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's my favourite.
God. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, normally I do have to do a Cockney rhyming translation sometimes when Tony just talks, because it's just part of your second nature, isn't it?
I like it. Yeah. I was talking to an American the other day talking about his saucepans, and he's like, "What are you going on about? What are you talking about my saucepans for?"
And saucepan is?
Saucepan lids, kids.
Lids, yeah.
Well, I pointed out someone on a job. It was a guy flew over from, I forget where he came from, but he had a wig on. And I said, there's matey, there's syrup over there. Yeah. And this guy was like, sorry, what? I was like,
I love it. I love syrup. I love it. Syrup and Irish. Irish jig's another one. That's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's another good one. But just wasting time writing a whole thing just to mess with people now.
Just to amuse yourself. Yeah, that's always the best way.
Just to say, what's the bunts on that? We're getting a bunts. It's like the Bunsen burner earner.
Yeah.
God.
But also the good thing about it is you could do a translated edition just for them.
Yeah.
Just like, regular English, just asterisk underneath explaining what it means.
I remember going down East Street Market with a mate of mine who was Scottish, and there was all kinds of, that's a score, mate. I'll have that for a monkey. Pull me carpet out was my favourite one, and the bloke's going, nah, completely lost me.
Is there a way? I mean, we're talking like proper highbrow technology. Is there a way to like almost have those 3D glasses? When you can look through and you see something else.
And space and fly.
To have the original sort of text. So you got the Cockney rhyming slang, but when they use special glasses, they see what it actually really means.
Yeah, he's a bit of a James Hunt. That sort of thing.
Oh God.
What you mean? So it creates an image of the description.
So you'd have the sort of the original sort of Cockney rhyming slang printed, but then when they look over it, it's almost like a decoder glasses. Yeah, so when they read the comic, it's actually what it means.
Yeah. How much is that kettle, mate? What you talk? It's like that, isn't it? Yeah. There's a picture of a watch on the screen. Yeah. Good.
You could, if you've got those, like that digital wasteland where you had like the animated panels in the app. You could have it so when you put the phone over a bubble, it showed you the. Oh yeah. That's a lot of fucking work.
Yeah.
For that.
Yeah. Basically for your own amusement.
Yeah. And technically, you're only a Cockney. Everyone knows this. Who's listening should know this. You're only a Cockney if you were born within the sound of Bow Bells, and that's a very limited distance these days with the noise of the big city. So not everyone from I'm not a Cockney. I'm from West London, but not everyone is a Cockney because they come from London.
I am
very
blown
important.
away every episode that sometimes someone learns something.
And there you go. Now you know.
Yeah.
Knowledge is power. So your Kickstarter campaign is running in the next couple of days.
Wednesday the 5th, it goes up.
Yeah, the 5th, which will be a couple of days after this episode goes live. What timing? And how long is this campaign running for?
31 days, I think. Again, you can see how much brain power I put into these things. I can't even remember how long it runs.
The weird thing is, like, sometimes when I look at a Kickstarter campaign, recently I've noticed my eyes are drifting to how long the campaign is going for. Now, because like some of them, I know Tony, you guys, you run shorter campaigns. Do you run shorter?
Yeah, we do actually, and I think people do look at that because they kind of think, oh, that's running 31 days. The money will come out of my account in 31 days' time. I think there's a bit of that, isn't there? I think it's we run 14 days because we know kind of the number we'll get, and we know the people who probably do it, and and it's sort of around this amount of backers and that sort of thing. And you'll agree with me here, Andy. I'm sure that the middle bit is a wasteland of
hell.
Anxiety.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just refresh Kickstarter and you see it go you're looking for middle of the night. You wake up to go for a slash or something, and you're like, oh yeah, I'm just going to refresh the app. Oh, no one's backed. All right, I'll just check it in 5 minutes. It's the first thing you do in the morning.
I know.
But you watch there's these other sort of sites where they aggregate all the data, and I think it's called Kick Track, and you put it in there and they project. It shows all the statistics of numbers of backers a day and amount per backer, all this kind of stuff. And it starts off giving you a projected amount. So, but the problem is you get that on the first day, and if you make £3,000 in the first day, it just multiplies it by the length of your campaign.
Yes, I had the same thing.
You just watch it tick away.
Yeah. When I first did Viper, I thought, oh, fucking this is going to go nuts if it carries on this route. But there's no way it's going to carry out this intensity after the first couple of days, and it doesn't. So.
No, you get that flurry of people, friends and people that were waiting for it, and then it's please back this, and then you get the ones at the end that were waiting. I think the 31 days, it just gives you, you're going to get a couple of paydays in that, so it gives people a couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah,
of having money,
and you do get the odd person mid campaign, but it's at the start and the finish is when you tend to get them.
Here's a shout out to all you people that you're going to back these campaigns. Maybe sometimes give it a few days, because then your pledge might be the one that people like Andy and Tony and Dan are just thinking, oh,
cheers us up.
Cheers.
Yeah, but then you've got the way it works. You've got that mentality of people will back to things. Some people will want to see something that's successful. So unless you're successful on the first day, people go, well, that thing's fucked. I'm not backing to that one.
That's why that one where they did a really low figure. It's it did 250% on the first day or the first hour.
It always does that. Brian Pulido sticks it up and puts it at $100 target or whatever he does. Yeah. And then it's Lady Death, 4,000% funded. Well, yeah, obviously. It's the triangle of covers with boobs out, low target goal, and a million variants. So you just got this perfect storm.
The silver foil cover, that's something for that one, isn't it?
Yeah. One in a black bag that you got to buy to see what's in it.
I always think that Lady Death's the one that when you look at Vampirella and Red Sonja, they've come through that and come out the other side, and they're actually just good comics now. I always think Lady Death needs to catch up a bit.
Yeah, I haven't read it since the 90s. I remember getting Evil Ernie and Lady Death and all that kind of stuff because I was obviously 14 at the time.
And we read Wizard magazine, and those characters were always in Wizard magazine, weren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They knew their market.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It was before the internet, so you couldn't access that kind of material elsewhere.
Yeah.
Now it's free.
I still find it embarrassing to buy in a comic shop if I buy Lady Death on it. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Like buying Jugs Monthly or something in a newsagent. Yeah.
I think I'd be less embarrassed.
Yeah.
Can I just have a copy of that Lady Death? Sorry, what?
Yeah.
Lady Death.
What, the one with her bending over, mate? The one with her bending over and her tits out on the cover, mate? Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, I want the naughty variant.
Yeah.
They're selling the fucking thing. They've got no leg to stand on.
I know.
Yeah. It's like that.
Is it that Woody Allen movie where he goes to buy a porn magazine? He buys 2 magazines, and then he's standing at the counter stressing and sweating, and the bloke goes, "Hey, mate, how much is Asian Babes?" Shouts across it. It's the one magazine he's bought in the middle. Yeah, cracking. Well, now we know the truth about Woody Allen.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Nothing
against anyone that buys Lady Death. I'm sure there are people that genuinely enjoy it and those kind of books.
Yeah, but you're weird still. Yeah.
I was joking with Jeffro and a couple of other people actually. When we did the next Star-Bastard campaign, we were going to put up a naughty variant, just sort of a question mark mystery, buy the extra sexy naughty variant, and not reveal it until it ships. And then these people would get it, and it would just literally be a close up of cock and bollocks.
I didn't spot
that old logo cover.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean. Well, Dan rants about this occasionally, don't you, Dan?
What, the nudie ladies?
The shameless, just
yeah. I find it galling at times when there's a book that's earned like $20,000-$30,000, and it's essentially there's loads of nudie pin-ups of like the girls in the comic or the women in the comic, and there's fan service, and I think, oh fuck's sake, there's some people like really toiling away trying to make cross storylines and give messages that actually mean something. And then you got people just selling TNA, and
that's all more about resisting it. Like, want to do it, don't you, to make the money? But then, like, I have people on Damsel like going, hey, just really dig this, but like, are you going to do any like topless covers, like for this campaign? And I was just like, nah, I don't think so, mate. Like,
cosplay
that's
covers.
not the market. Yeah. Well, I've got a cosplay one for the next one, but it's not of that variety. Yeah. I checked there was no OnlyFans first.
We had that, didn't we, Dan, recently, guys? We had that with was it like it was an actual comic, but they were doing boys homage, the series, the boys, the TV series, as opposed to comic. They were doing is it Starlight variants for the covers of their books.
Oh yeah.
You can't but they're like topless Starlight variant, but it's like their character dressed up like Starlight, and their characters just happen to be like a blonde woman who looks pretty much identical to Starlight. So
yeah,
can't really get away with that.
There's some weird stuff on Kickstarter recently. They used to be really hot on what they put on there, but there's been some blatant IP theft on there recently. Like there was like a Star Wars book up there, and there's some crazy stuff up there. I don't know how it slips through, but
we saw a Marvel one recently, didn't we, guys?
Was it Wolverine?
That's it. Yeah,
Wolverine. It's parody, but it's like it's very thinly veiled.
Yeah.
But this Star Wars one was literally, it had the Star Wars logo, and it it was using existing Star Wars characters with this guy's new one that he'd made, and it was like this whole thing.
I'd have thought I think he got come down on that. They don't like that.
I hate it when Kickstarter ban people. It's terrible.
Yeah, it's terrible, isn't it, Tony?
Yeah.
But you're up there now. Did you get unbanned?
Well, technically, we created another account.
Surefire way to sidestep security.
This is from Rebute Press.
Yes, yeah, exactly, yeah. No, Adam did it. We did decide we should have one just for tribute, so we did it for tribute. So technically, we weren't gaming the system, but it seems to have got through fine. Yeah.
It was under Adam's account.
Yeah. So he's the one who got blacklisted, not me.
Yeah. Tony's completely safe.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah.
Oh dear. So obviously, look for we'll put links in the show notes, of course, and people who are checking out this show later in the week. The Damsel from Distress campaign is available now, so go and check it out. Just give us a quick spiel for what the comic actually is for those people who might be interested in it, Andy.
So Damsel from Distress is kind of what you'd get if you threw like a bit of Bond, a bit of Zelda, a bit of Man from U.N.C.L.E., which is where the name came from, and a bit of Dungeons and Dragons. You get this young agent who is sort of she's the hotshot agent from the agency, and she's sent out all these missions. Usually has to sort of pretend to be a damsel in distress. To sort of sneak her way in, it's one of her party tricks. But it's very much a sort of it's an adventure comedy about her, family secrets and her discovering who she is and a bit about her past. But it's got a talking toad in it and a bluebird that sounds like Phil Mitchell. So if that doesn't sell it,
awesome.
He goes dogging.
Yeah, there's a deleted dogging scene. We have to keep it PG-13.
You pay extra. Speaking of
the man from U.N.C.L.E., here's a pop culture question for you. There was a series called The Girl from U.N.C.L.E.
Oh, was that?
Who played the girl from U.N.C.L.E.?
Fuck! I do you know what? I saw this the other day.
I don't know. I didn't even know there was
Barbara Windsor.
Her own comic from Dell, I think.
Oh fuck! No, it's gone from my mind. Who was it, Ten?
It was Stephanie Powers from Heart to Heart.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah, it's quite sexy.
I have no idea
why. A whole series?
Yeah, it must have been like a pilot or something. Did it have a whole?
It was one season. I think it ran one season. Yeah. I don't think it was ever shown over here. I think it was only in the States. I think.
Oh, one of those.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for the reboot of Manimal. That's all I care about.
Manny Person, it's coming soon.
Yeah.
God. There was some legit special effects on that show.
No, they weren't.
Yeah.
What do you mean, no?
Wasn't
Well, I mean,
Ultramega
they were
literally
legitimately the
shot?
actual special effects, but they weren't brilliant, were they? Yeah.
Essentially, they just used the same ones. It was like Power Rangers. They just used the same transformation sequence against like a coloured screen every time,
Well,
didn't they?
yeah, I mean, because they spoiled all the budget on one transformation sequence, and then they're just going to use that to death.
Then he just dropped
Well,
the
that's
pack
how
off the set.
they just used stock footage for all the battles, like
Yeah.
helicopter blowing up.
Yeah, I mean, how many times do we see that camouflage dude just fly through the air from an explosion?
You know that was it? Dukes of Hazzard didn't film any car chases in the last season. They just used ones from the original first 3 seasons.
Oh, really?
Same with in that abomination of a series of Airwolf season 3, they didn't have access to like the helicopter, so they had to use action sequences from the first 2 series.
Oh, right.
No,
Okay.
Dan, you obviously feel quite. I mean, you use the word abomination.
You're quite
there.
bitter about that, aren't you?
Yeah.
Shit. Well, they just took out virtually all the stars. And
Yeah. I mean, I will say Airwolf was one of those ones that I remember it when I was a kid, and then obviously as a grown up, should we say, I watched the pilot, and I just watched it thinking, with grown up eyes, I was just thinking, Jesus, they are murdering lots of people in this pilot. When he uses a fucking Gatling gun on the bad
That
guys.
happens in pilots, so don't they? They go full murdery in pilots, and then when it comes to the,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, they get the focus group that says, "Yeah, I don't think we can sell toys based on this."
Yeah. Let's not call it Manimal, let's call it Manny Person. That's the sort of thing that they come up with in focus groups, isn't it?
I can't remember Airwolf, to be honest. When I think of it, I think of that and Firefox at the same time.
Oh, yeah. I always think of Blue Thunder as well as another one like
Oh
that.
yeah,
I
that's
think Street
Roy
Hawk.
Scheider, isn't it?
That's
You
it.
know what I mean?
Blue
Yeah.
Thunder's got quite a nice, interesting premise behind it, like the militarization of the police, and
Oh, right.
how they
Okay.
push like military weapons into the police, and
I mean,
it's
we're
got some
talking-
nice themes in it.
Yeah, we're talking Dan's language. Dan, I mean, if you've read
Robocop.
Viper people, then you know that Dan loves this shit.
I said down a sexy Robocop comic this week.
Yeah, it's fucking amazing, T. Thank you.
That's right.
What
I was
pray
big
tell
on
is a
that
sexy Robocop comic?
Well, who drew it? It was
I haven't got it to hand. I've got it on the bookshelf over there. It's etched in my memory, every single page of that comic, because I was down with anecdotes and went
I got a
down my
feeling
notes.
it's Mark. Is it Mark Texera? Someone like that, isn't it?
No, I don't think it is.
Oh, okay.
Oh, shit. I can't see it. I've got a stack of books over there.
That's right. Okay.
We're all surrounded by
So
stacks of books
excited.
somewhere that we need to
Yeah.
read.
I've got
Yeah.
the scumbag here ready to read.
Oh God, yeah. Oof.
I've not read that.
Oh,
brilliant.
dude,
Yeah.
it will be right up your street.
Yeah, I can
Yeah,
see
well,
it
it
being
is
up.
one.
Yeah.
It's one where I looked at it and went, okay, this is like a good version of mine.
No, it is very different.
Yeah. Don't worry, it is different.
It lampoons certain areas of Twitter and made me laugh.
Yeah, I saw some good screen grabs. It does look funny.
Yeah. But I think, I mean, this will be a lovely chat, and we've definitely talked a lot about some process that we haven't discussed before. So be sure to follow Andy on Twitter. Where can people follow you, actually? Well, we'll do it again at the end of the show, but I like to put it in the middle as well.
So I got a website. I got this website that I finally set up over lockdown that I do not update. So it's useless, but it's clemsoncomics.com. And that's got an email on it, which is super exciting. But then I guess Twitter, which is just at Andrew Clemson. And it's, again, it will mostly be pushing other people's stuff, but I will have links to my own stuff in between. So like a self-promotion sandwich.
That's how
my
we speak,
word.
isn't it? Twitter. That's how we got hold of you.
An SPS, a self-promotion sandwich. That's
Look at that! I've got a copy of Wizard in front of me, and first page I opened it is fan art of Lady Death.
Yeah, there we go.
By Timmy, age 12.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
who's becoming a man as he's
quite
drawing.
overdressed.
Could
in
be
this
Timmy,
one.
age 40, that,
Yeah.
Could be
Lord knows
anything.
where Timmy is now.
There's some artists that actually appeared in Wizard, and they went on to become.
Yeah,
industry-
there was a thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll have to look at that one day.
Unfortunately, I don't have those names to hand.
Gallery
So-
Corner. We'll look it up. We'll do research.
Man, I sent a picture in. I remember sending a picture of Spawn into Wizard.
Oh,
That
nice.
was my jam back in the day.
Yeah.
I don't think it got published there.
Shame on them. Look at them now.
I know.
Where are they and where are you?
Yeah,
You're here
Well, I
talking to
worked
us.
very hard to bring the end of Wizard about just because of that. So, okay.
Rightly so.
Yeah.
Andrew Clemson, Wizard Killer.
Yeah.
Hey, there's a book name.
That's the sequel.
Yeah,
Damsel.
that's the sequel. And you're going to find out what Andy is going to recommend to you, lovely people, soon enough, because we've got some great books to recommend this week. But before that, shout outs. What shout outs have we got, James? We've got a few this week, haven't we?
Yeah. Shall I go?
I mean, you always sound so enthusiastic, Tony, when I say what shout outs have we got, and you're like,
Yeah, because you got loads. I got a brilliant drink and draw. Thank you to everyone who came on Friday. It was very amusing.
yeah.
Yeah, it's good. It was a good laugh. And did you want to do the bit that follows on from that, V?
Well, I can indeed. With my first shout out, because it will lead into another drink and draw. There's a special drink and draw coming soon.
Yep.
And it's a tie-in with Lawless, the Bunker Edition, should we say? Saturday, 15th of May, 2021. Yes, Lawless, obviously, is a great show that originally was sort of 2000 AD. And
yeah, it's sort of British comics now, isn't it?
It's now open up to British comics and stuff. And yeah, they're just putting the good work out, and they're taking their convention digitally, and they're having lots of great sort of giving lots of interviews and lots of YouTube videos and stuff, and there's loads of stuff going on. For instance, there's an interactive colour demo with John Charles. There's a history of British comics with David Roach, Steve Holland, Paul Gravett, John Freeman. And that's hosted by Tony Foster. There's a Rock of the Reds panel with John Wagner, Dan Cornwall and Jim Campbell, hosted by Steve Hargett. An interview with Pat Mills and Ian Kennedy, hosted by Philip Vaughan and Peter Adamson. And there's Lawless After Dark with Simon Bisley, hosted by Joanne Alexander.
God save us all.
What with Bisley?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've never met Simon Bisley.
Yeah, he's a character.
Yeah. Which is what
I bumped into him drunk once at Earl's Court train station. He was desperately trying to look for the train. Just sort of watched him.
That sounds creepy, Tony.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you can watch all of those creators, and there's going to be just stay tuned for more. You can go to lawlesscomiccon.co.uk. But to tie into that, the next drink and draw is going to be to coincide.
Yeah,
with Lawless, and there's yes, because the awesome drink and draw gets Lawless with "I am the draw" is what we.
Yeah, we like that, don't we?
Yeah.
That took a lot of alcohol to think of that one.
Yeah. Yes, it's going to be the awesome pod, a drink and draw in conjunction with Lawless. So there's, as always, it's going to be happening the Friday the 14th. We'll be putting out some details of how. I mean, as always, the drink and draws. They're free to anyone who wants to join, and they're always a good laugh. As Tony Fridays was fantastic. I couldn't make it this Friday, but
it was good. It was a very good chuckle. Sue who runs Lawless came along, and she messaged us saying what a chuckle it was. Yeah, it was a good laugh. Yeah.
It's open to anyone and everyone. Just turn up, just draw, drink, have a laugh amongst sort of like comics folk. If we get enough, then there'll be like, because anyone who's used Zoom will know that if you have too many people on screen, you don't know where to look. So we've got that covered with wonderful Tom Curry at this Chucklehead. He will be announcing more details as well. But it's going to be great stuff. There may be some special guests.
Hopefully, we're trying to plan something. But you don't necessarily have to share your art or anything. Do you? We won't give you a hard time if you don't want to. But if you want to, we've got the facility. You can obviously show it if you're doing it in a traditional way, or you can screen share as well.
Yeah,
if you're doing it.
We've had people sort of just. Sometimes they're just lettering, or they're just inking, or they're just working on the
flatting
comics,
bits of flatting going on.
Just do whatever. It's a great sort of social event, I think, for comic people to get.
I think Sarah was having trouble with her Procreate on her laptop or her iPad, and everyone helped her with that.
Yeah,
there was lots of shouts of just move your hand up and down a bit quicker, that sort of thing, which did make me laugh.
Yeah, as you can tell, it's very grown up. And we'll probably just create a little hashtag for it because we're well modern and shit.
And then you post it,
So people can post up their artwork and stuff. And after drink and draws, I always have a look to see what there's amazing artwork that gets posted after these drink and draws, which is great. So stay tuned for more information on that, and be sure to look out for the Lawless Con because it's going to be great. Yeah. Also, have we got any other shout-outs?
I got a couple. So,
Go for it.
Cosplayer That Doomed the Earth, issue 3. I've just got through from Dan Harris. I love this series.
Yeah, it's
Dan's
great.
class act, isn't he? He knows what he's
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah.
Always worth following on Instagram. But I think it's one that he did for his patrons, but I think it's going to be released as well. I'm not sure in what form at the moment, but it's another fab issue. And selfishly, thanks to everyone who's backed Atomic Hercules, Weapon of Mass Destruction. When you read the comic, you'll realise what the weapon is. But yeah, we funded in I think it was under 20 hours. So
That sounds like a threat when you say it like that.
well, it kind of is, yeah. Yeah, we funded under 20 hours, so it's very cool. So thanks, everyone. Yeah.
Another Kickstarter, just a shout out, is and it's had to talk about this. It's the culmination of the Samurai Slasher, 250 plus pages of horror comics by Mike Garley and a murderer's row, literally, of artists. The Samurai Slasher Collected is finally out now, so check out that. I've pledged for mine just because I wanted Mike always knows what he's doing when it comes to Kickstarters and stuff anyway, so yeah.
Is there new material in that as well as the old stuff, or do you know?
Do you know, I pledged. I just thought I just want the book, so I just pledged.
You don't want it all in one go, yeah.
Yeah, there will be plenty of stuff on there, so go check out the campaign because it'll be well worth it. And he delivers as well. He's pretty on top of delivering stuff. And Samurai Slashers was just one of the great sort of indie creations, like character creations of the past few years, I think. So definitely check that out. Any others before we get on to the...
You'd have that one, but I've got another one. Alex Automatic, Volume 1 trade.
Yeah, there's both of mine gone. Brilliant.
Shall I pass this one over to you, Andrew?
No.
Driven mad by illegal government experiments, a young agent believes he's a robot super spy hero of a 70s TV show, Alex Automatic. It's by Fraser Campbell, and you can go check that out now. Obviously, stick that in the show notes.
Yep. There's going to be plenty of show notes this week.
My final one is a book that Dave Cook has put out, a digital only, called Crowdfunding Comics, a guide to marketing, running, and fulfilling a comic book Kickstarter. And that's a Gumroad book. I've yet to buy it myself, but I'm going to get it this week. But as you well know, Dave has run several Kickstarters, and they've all done really well.
Yeah.
You can buy this 109-page book and see what secrets and gems of information it has for you.
I mean,
I think it guarantees your project will get a movie adaptation if you get that book as well.
That's a big claim.
Yeah.
That's great. I can't wait to see that adaptation of his thing, though. That'll be an amazing TV show.
Yeah.
I did see the little animation clip that the studio had done previously, and if it's done like that, it'd be fantastic. So
They did Love and Robots, didn't they?
Yeah.
Ah, really? Okay.
So, yeah, it should be pretty good.
Speaking of pretty good, well, how's that for a segue, eh? We're going to send you lovely people off with a nice wish list of comics to check out. As always, the guest goes first. So, Andy, what would you like to recommend to our lovely listeners?
So, I read a book the other day, and it was called Ultramega.
Love it, man. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Before, but it's got like 2 issues. I read the first 2. I don't know if there's any more out, but it was a James Harren book. I saw it. It was like a trad more variant, the one that I picked up. But I just blew my mind. It was a big book for single issues as well, and it's kind of like a sort of kaiju versus Ultraman kind of reimagining, like what would happen if someone killed off all the sort of Ultraman characters. Like, just blew me away. The art and the concept and everything was fantastic. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's amazing that book. We talked about that a few weeks ago, and it's it's quite the thing, isn't it? Yeah, it really is.
Some people have just been posting like pages of it, just going, "My God."
Yeah.
It was just little things like when the giant Ultraman type characters like lose like a hand or bleed, like it literally like people are drowning from the blood, and then it's sort of scabbing over, and people are getting like trapped in the scabs and stuff. Like, it's just insanity.
Oh, that end of it. Yeah, you're like, oh my God.
I've yet to read it.
I've yet to read it. It's I'm the same as you, Dan. I don't know. It's the fact that I really want to read it, but I want to read it in physical. I think because the price of the digital slightly sort of. It's a pricey.
Yeah, exactly, man. I would be careful about waiting on it because I think it will sell out. I think.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, I read most stuff digital just because I can't get a lot of stuff. Like,
Yeah.
we've got one place and it does Marvel and DC and stuff like that. But so I tend to get everything digital.
Yeah.
Is there any restrictions on what's sold over there, dude? Just out of interest, or
Comics, not so much. Like, it used to be, like, in the, like, you know, as growing up, you know, you got everything was censored. Like, they would cut kisses out of films and all this kind of stuff.
Well,
but like now, not so much. I think just because you can get everything on the internet, so it's kind of like, what's the point? Like, it's you know, you can go on Netflix and see what you want. So it's there's not really any you know, major, you know, of stuff, you know, normal stuff that you wouldn't get in the darker corners of the internet. But yeah, comics wise, no, you pretty much get everything.
That's good.
If you order it and send it, but you've got to add the shipping and all that kind of stuff. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Which, you know, you've got to do in bulk. Like I have a thing in the States where I can send stuff to it, and then when there's enough, they'll send a box.
I get you.
Otherwise, you're spending like $20 a comic.
Yeah.
To get it out.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah, I wonder whether DCBS or someone like that is worth you looking into, because I think they're quite good for shipping.
What's that?
DCBS, yeah, discount comic book service. I think they give huge discounts on a lot of their comics, so it bumps down the shipping cost.
Right, okay.
I keep meaning to look into it for myself, actually. You know, I know a couple of comics friends who are in Ireland, and they get them from the States because
I
the
used to
discount
hear
it comes
that.
out.
Yeah, the States. Yeah, because it's big in the States, isn't it? A lot of like, American podcasts talk about it, but I don't know how easy it is to use that.
Yeah, mate of mine is in Dublin. He gets his, and he reckons it's cheap. It comes out as cheaper with the discount. Knocks down the shipping, therefore it becomes cheaper than buying it from a local comic shop, which is an interesting idea. Yeah.
Well, I tend to read the singles digitally, and then I, you know, stuff I enjoy, I buy the trade and get the trade shipped.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah.
So I just wait and then order it from the States, and then, you know, get 10 at a go or something like that.
Yeah. They're the company that took over when Diamond left for a while, didn't they?
Yeah.
They were one of the major distributors. Yeah.
But yeah, Ultramega, which I see that the first issue has just dropped a little bit in price, so I'm going to get my hands on that.
Yeah, get it, man. It's great.
But the other one I was going to suggest, I don't know if you guys read much Kyle Starks, but like I reread Sexcastle.
Yeah.
And,
we love Kyle. We had him on, 3 years ago, I reckon.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
What book was it we coincided that with? It was the one with
the ninja one?
No, it was the
martial arts one.
The one in the tower, wasn't it? Was it Kill 'Em All?
That's sick.
Oh, right. The other good one is Rock Candy Mountain. That's fantastic.
Right. That's a recent one. That was the one he was doing when he came on, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there's a line in that which is one of my favourites. He's like watching a fight, and he says, "Oh my God, he's got punch diarrhea, and their faces are the toilet bowls." Like, that's Eisner. Like, that should get an award for that kind of descriptive language.
He did that Karate Prom, which was released digital. I really enjoyed that too.
Yeah, they're always good. And Old Head, that's his newest one, I think. So
yeah,
they're always worth checking out.
Great, yeah.
Do you guys follow Ben Mara on Twitter, on Instagram rather? Pardon me.
Oh, I think so.
You should. What we mean by yesterday is right up your street. If you like Starks, you'll love it. It's like a daily 4-panel strip. It's fucking mental. But
it's on Instagram.
Yeah. It's up to number 488 at the moment, but it's just genius. Yeah.
I rarely go on Instagram. Like, again, I'm terrible at it. There's Stuart Immonen's got a great comic on Instagram.
Oh, God,
okay.
Grass of Parnassus, I think it's called.
Oh, I know. Yes. Yeah.
And they do that. That's really good because he's just at the top of my list of favourite artists. And
I did actually
I'll just take
them
anything.
a while ago. I did message them about that Grass of Parnassus, but they're just so busy that we couldn't get them on. Yeah.
I think he just does it because he enjoys it. Like,
yeah,
I just don't.
It's completely.
Yeah, that's what Mara does actually. Yeah. I actually find Instagram much less a place of people going, "Oh, look at me." I've actually found it just about the art, which I kind of enjoy it more for. I think these days. Yeah.
Did I send you an Instagram comic where you're getting your hair cut, Tony?
Yeah, you sent me one where a man's getting a finger up his bum.
Yeah.
And I was getting my hair cut.
That's Grass of Parnassus, isn't it?
It was.
Arse of Parnassus.
Yeah, it's a new Tilly Walden book. It's.
Oh God! Right, who's next? Who wants to recommend their book next?
Go on, V. You go.
Yeah, you go, V.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'm going to talk about one that I mentioned. I picked up from the bookstore a couple of weeks ago, or a week. I don't know what is time. I finally got around to reading Beowulf, the adaptation of Beowulf by Image Comics, but it's by Santiago Garcia and David Rubin. I was talking to the guys before. I mean, I don't know David Rubin's work, but David Rubin was the artist, which Tony schooled me on. It's something that they don't say in the credits of the book.
Yeah, it's weird that, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, the credits are edited by Image Comics, designed David Rubin, layouts Manuel Bartual, scans Jose Domingo and Sara Solano, translation Sam Stone and Joe Keating. Joe Keating is he's Image writer, isn't he? Is it?
Yeah,
yeah, he's writer,
it's the same guy. Yeah, I think so.
Lettering Jared Fletcher, and it's got all the links and stuff in it as well. This is like an oversized. I mean, the Beowulf story. We all know it, don't we? In some ways. I mean, I've never read the original. Isn't Beowulf one of the oldest known?
I think it's called something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of the first stories ever sort of put down on paper or something like that. I think Beowulf is.
Was that before Action Comics 1 then?
No, I think that is literally the first one.
Oh, that's good.
A week or so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Predates it by a week. But yes, it is. I mean, as it says in the book, men have told his story for centuries. Beowulf is the poem from which English literature was born. For more than 1,000 years, it has inspired generations of writers from J.R. Tolkien to Hollywood filmmakers. Basically, it's a new telling of that. They say they bring the epic poem to the 21st century. And when you say something like that in your synopsis, I think, is this setting it in the modern world? It's not. It is just telling the Beowulf story. And fuck me, this book's glorious to look at.
Yeah, it's not dry at all. We don't think of it as going to be like old literature dry. It's not. It's like fucking full on.
Yeah, it's a full on sequential, easy to follow. I know sometimes when people read like real old sort of style literature or text, the prose is very difficult to read because it is of the time, isn't it? And but this is quite simple to follow. You know exactly where you are. It is glorious and brutal as fuck. There is gore, there is blood, there is carnage, there is the classic scene of when Beowulf, and you got the classic, it follows all those tropes. Beowulf and his clan of badasses turn up to the Norse village and just I'm here to kill your monster. And when he first meets the monster, Grendel, which is wonderful, such an original sort of design for this creature as well. Almost looks like something that's slightly Geiger-esque in kind of ways. Like what the creature looked like in Species. Do you remember?
Yeah.
Do you remember Species? It's like that. There's tendrils and you can see sinews and everything. And there's just a massive fight where Beowulf faces off against Grendel completely naked, just ass to the wind, because he was sleeping at the time when this thing came in. And there is and the fight is like almost 20 pages. You can tell.
Seems a bit barbaric. Doesn't he own pyjamas?
He may have had pyjamas, but maybe it was a warm night, Tony. We don't know.
Yeah.
But
I like to wear something. That's because I'm scared of my dog biting my junk, though.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, he'll have that completely off in one go.
Real fear.
Yeah, that is a real fear.
If you Google image search it, that's literally the first thing that pops up is him naked fighting this monster.
Yeah,
because I've looked at it so many times.
Yeah. Yeah, it's absolutely astounding though, because it's oversized as well. The sort of, whether it be the graphic violence or the windswept sort of landscapes, just everything, the cold, harsh sort of Nordic sort of snowstorms. It's an onslaught onto your eyes. It is sort of it totally sort of overcomes you sometimes. You're just looking at these pages, and there are a couple of pages that are just red. You can almost see the sort of blood cells themselves, and it's just a stunning book. That's just the color palette goes from blues to reds to greens, using shadows. It's gloriously told. I think it's a very accessible telling of Beowulf. I would say, I don't need to see the story again. This is giving me what I need in terms of that. Not that I'm a huge follower of it, but there was a real cool meta moment at the very end of the book that I just want to highlight, which I think is just really cool. The story ends, and you have there's a couple of black pages, and then you have a lot of panels that sort of open up on the story as it's told on the old parchment, and then there's a panel of the story being told once again, but it's been translated and it's typed out and it's in a prose book, and then the next panel shows a version of it in a script format, and then there's a panel of seeing the sketches, and it sort of shows the legacy of this original tale becoming the book that you're holding in your hands now, because it even shows the emails of, like, the sort of creators talking to one another before the book goes through a printing press. So it shows the original sort of Beowulf story, all those thousands of years ago, to what you're holding in your hands now, which I thought was a real nice touch, and just showed the legacy, the actual physical legacy of this tale, which, some people probably think, oh yeah, I know that story, but they don't know, this is a true classic story. And for me, it's got one of the best from an aesthetic perspective, it's got one of the best covers ever that I've seen, where you see the sort of shape of the warrior's face, but underneath that you can see the monster that he's fighting. Glorious.
It reminded me, that cover of, do you remember when Jim Lee did that image book that you could scratch and it came off in a bit sort of red blood?
Yeah,
it reminded me a bit of that, actually.
Yeah.
Sort of drenched in it, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it's very much, and there isn't a flashy font for the title or anything. The story tells it, does the work for you, which great stories should. So if you see it in your, this totally passed me by. I think it came out last year, didn't it, Tony? I think.
Yeah, if not even maybe the year before, actually, dude. I think.
I think so. Yeah, what I've got here is a second printing, which came out end of last year. But yeah, look for it. It's just an image books. You'll see it in any good bookstore, or order it. But if it passed you by, I think it will sit proudly on your bookshelf, because it's just a glorious tome. You can just come back.
We're great believers anything that's a translated book is going to be amazing. We sort of believe in that heavily now, don't we?
Yeah. And that seems what this is. This was an original Spanish telling of Beowulf that the image have translated for the English speakers.
Are they all this oversized hardcover version? Is that?
I mean, the one I got
mine's a soft cover, actually.
Yeah, mine's a soft cover, but it is oversized. We're talking.
Careful you don't buy a foreign, unless you speak Spanish. Careful with. There's a couple of foreign language ones on sale on Amazon and stuff.
I do not. Like most English people, I just shout slowly.
Good idea. That's what I do.
Yeah.
It works.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. They understand secretly, don't they?
But it's a gorgeous book. Well worth checking out. So that's my one.
Good. I've got a worthy mention, and then shall I do my worthy mention, and then you do yours, Dan, and then
go
back to mine in a second. So my worthy mention is something I keep harping on about. If you haven't bought this, something wrong with you. Barry Windsor Smith's Monsters. Absolutely incredible. This is. I think we said last year this is going to be the book of 2021, and it's really shaping up that way. It's 300 and odd pages, black and white, densely written, densely drawn. It's just incredible. Get on it. There you
go.
Nice one. Got Mahoneys issue 4, The Last Stand Part 2 of a 4-part story. It's written by Rich Carrington and drawn by Brian S. Dawson. I've got to say, Brian's artwork just goes from strength to strength. He's really kind of like the change from 1 to issue 4 now. It's still the same style, but it's all tightened up and just got better and improved. It's hard to kind of describe. You know how you see an artist who works in a particular style and they just improve. They don't radically change what they're doing. They just get a lot better at it. And it's just a really fun book. If you like Mahoneys, it's more of the same. It's a good little read. Brian that draws Mahoneys, he did the layouts on that crossover book we did. That
S.T.R.E.S.S.
Okay.
All right.
Some of the layouts are nice going on. I mean, he does quite a lot of like panel breaks. I don't do too much of that, but it's a nice little tool. So this was from a Kickstarter, but knowing Rich, you'd be able to pick these up when cons open up or directly from him. And I believe Mahoneys is on Comic House, so you can you can read it on there.
I'm not sure if this issue is, but the preceding ones are.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah, nice. Okay, Tony, take us home.
My final one is one called Tales from the Straits, Blood Fabric. It's written and illustrated by Adrian Hashimi. Full disclosure, Adrian's one of my favourite people in the world. We're old friends. He's a Malay. He comes from a Malaysian family, but lives in New York. He's quite a prolific storyboarder. He's done some of the Marvel movies, I think, and he does stuff with Robert Redford, and he's quite the thing. But after years of wanting to tell the stories from his homeland, he started telling these, and this is 120 pages, black and white. I think some of the listeners were members of his Patreon. I certainly was, and you got a lot of it on there. But I read it yesterday. I had to ring him. I was so blown away. It's so chuffed. Do you know what I mean? It's really good. It's a story from the 15th century Straits of Malacca in Malaysia, aka Malaysia. Adrian's from Malaysia, and he really has a passion for the history and the story of it, and it is really an exciting era. It's akin. It's not Japanese and it's not Chinese, but it's akin to the sort of folklore of something like Yojimbo, where a man walks into a town. The stranger walks into a town. Like a Western. It's essentially formulated, structured a bit like a Western sort of thing. It starts off with a batik salesman, which is a sort of ornamental cloth, heavily designed cloth, walking in the coast, and he meets this musician, and they travel together. And this musician has a bronze flute that he plays with great skill and impresses everyone. And I think the secret is that not only is he a musician and plays his flute, he's also like an absolutely crazy kick-ass warrior, and he actually uses this bronze flute to defend himself as well as blades and stuff. And some bandits attack, and the old man is badly beaten, and the musician fights them off, and he takes the old man back to his house in the village. And it turns out that there's this war going on between bandits, the local government, and the people of this town, and the musician decides to stay, and it slowly is revealed that he is more than just this, more than a man who just entertains people by playing on the flute, and it just gets it starts off as something you think is maybe a bit like Usagi Yojimbo. They're two men meet walking a track. And they become friends, and it's a bit like that, but it builds and builds and builds. And the ending, there's an end sequence, it's 20 odd pages of just bloodthirsty battle. It's just incredible. He really draws you into it with the characters, and there's a little who's who at the start of it, so you can the names, you can pick out who the names are, but the faces are always recognizable. And there's a glossary of terms at the back, which I found really interesting for someone who sort of grew up in books where you needed a glossary to work out different things and different people and different foods and different, this sort of thing. I thought it was really good. But it becomes something of almost like a thriller, almost a soap opera amongst the people in the town, and there's romances going on. People are hiding their true intentions, and there's a warrior woman who uses these blades that are on a little ring around her thumb, and she sort of throws them with great skill, and there's a fight between her and the musician at the end of it. Just incredible, but it ties into historical moments and societal and community moments. I never knew this, but there's a moment where they have their form of gambling in this town is they have stag beetles fight each other, and it's played as a metaphor for what's going on in the town. It's really, really clever. I would say if you like stuff like Lone Wolf and Cub or Usagi Yojimbo, something like that, based on there's no fantastical element in it. It's just warriors and honor and bandits and a town and stuff like that. You'll really dig it. It's got incredible sequences that interlock with other sequences, and I rang Adrian afterwards and I said, man, I'm just really chuffed that I know you. This is just brilliant. I absolutely love it. There's a blade called a keris now, which is a sort of sharp fighting blade, which I'm going to try and order on the internet in a minute. It's I think he's probably going to kickstart it at some point. If you were lucky enough to be part of the Patreon, you'll probably get you probably got a digital copy in your inbox. I think Ian Ashcroft, I think, is a member of that, and Johnny Cannon, a couple other people. But if you want to find out more about Adrian Hashimi, Adrian, so Adrian, then Hashimi is Hashimi. Adrian Hashimi, all one word, on Instagram, and you'll find it. And just blew me away. Best thing I've read for ages. Really good. There you go.
Nice. Well,
nice one.
Loads of great comics for you to check out.
Can I just throw another one in there?
Oh, of course.
There was like a book that came out. It was on Kickstarter, like a big anthology called Tales from the Quarantine during lockdown, and I think it's basically got everyone working on it. I had a couple of stories in it, and I think it's got hundreds of people on it, and I know that's sort of coming. They're doing an order for that, like the shop's opening for people that missed it on Kickstarter, and the guy running it, he's donating all the profits to like the NHS and all this kind of stuff. So it's quite
awesome.
Yeah,
that's Jordan, isn't it? Isn't it Jordan?
No, that was Jordan did Quarantine.
Oh, okay.
Thing, but this was Fraser Brown sort of ran this, and Matt Hardy, who edits Bette Noir with me, he's now come on as to sort of wrangle and edit a lot of the stuff. So it's literally got, God, I can't remember what it was, 200 people on it. I think it's a 200-page book with like one-page stories. Yeah. So it's got people like Sean Phillips and Charlie Adlard, and then basically everyone from the sort of indie world is sort of in it. Yeah. So it's definitely worth checking out, getting a copy, because he's going to be donating all the money to charity. So it's
stuff, man.
That's a cool book. But I don't think it's up yet, because it's bigger than they plan it to be. But I think it's going up in the next week, so it's definitely worth checking out that.
Yes, especially.
I think it's Red Cabin Comics on Twitter. But
cool. Have a look.
So stay tuned for that, especially for such a good cause as well. So there you go. Even more bang for your buck this week. So we're hitting a stride. Yay! Now the summer is in the horizon. Although I say that, it's been raining the past couple of days here, but never mind. But
I'd love to see some rain.
Yeah, I know. He's had sunstroke, which
he's been in the desert all day.
Yeah. And he's
I legitimately have a headache from the sun.
Well, no, that's just us.
Yeah, you'll get that when you've been on here.
Yeah.
Takes a few days to go.
We dehydrate anyone. But what we do is hopefully entertain you lovely people listening. We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. If there's anything we talked about you want to learn more about, or if there's any events or comics causes to help people out over the lockdowns or post-lockdowns or wherever you are at the moment, please get in touch with us and we'll give a shout out in the shout out section, funnily enough. You can email us awesomecomicspod@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter @TheAwesomePod, where we'll be posting up sort of polls, questions, depending on what we're talking about. It could be anything. You never know what's going to happen with us. If you do the Book of Faces, go to facebook.com/awesomecomicspodcast. Join the community group Awesome Comics Talk, where we post out the latest sort of episodes. There's loads of conversational threads about comics, comic stores, comic events. Just a great community of people on there, just talking about this medium that we all love every week. And please join it. There's a couple of questions, but you'll get in easy if you listen to the show. Simple as that.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to us, whether it's on the website awesomecomics.podbean.com. If you listen to us on Apple Podcasts, subscribe and leave a review. We haven't had a review in ages, and we're so sad about it. Well, actually, we haven't checked. But please leave a review, because it helps get the word out about the show and the great comics we talk about every week. If you listen to us on any other network, like Spotify, Amazon, Stitcher, Podnose, Podknife, what other networks are we on, Tony?
We're one that stems from one of the text messages you sent me that my car read out yesterday. So you need to go to Pod Fisting for Freedom.
Any network like that, please listen to us. It doesn't matter. For the record, I didn't send that message.
Well, we're in the middle of a conversation, and my car keeps pinging up. I'm getting WhatsApp messages, and I press one, and it's from Vincenzo Hunt. Fist emoji, fist emoji, fist emoji, fist emoji. That's what it said.
Yeah, but the problem you had is you then told us that it was reading out the emojis.
So you sent me like 100 emojis.
Tony, please tell me that it read out the one when I put lick my, and what did it say?
Was it an aubergine or something?
No, I think Tom Curry sent the aubergine. I sent peanuts.
Yeah, I did, yeah. Yeah, I read that one out.
Oh,
yeah,
good.
Lick my peanuts. Yeah. Lick my peanut emoji.
Oh, I really feel like I've fucking achieved something this week now.
We need that, don't we, on a t-shirt? Lick my peanut emoji.
I've got a whole host of new Twitter names that I'm going to sat through. Fisting for Freedom @lick my Twitter peanut.
I'll tell you the Fisting for Freedom story in a minute.
Oh, God. Yeah, but before we get onto that, where can people find us online, etc., Tony?
You can follow us on Patreon by going to patreon.com/tributepress, and you can pledge to our new Kickstarter by going to Kickstarter and looking up Atomic Hercules.
There you go. Dan?
You can find me on Twitter at Vanguard Comic, and you can read Vanguard at vanguardcomic.com.
Brilliant. As always, Dan, you're smashing it with that comic.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it's looking cracking. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Jester Diablo. And Andy, you've been an absolute legend, sir. Once again,
thank you for having me on. Had a great time.
It's been a joy. Where can people find your comics, etc. again?
You can go to my website, which is clemsoncomics.com, just to see a picture of me and have my email address. That's about as much effort as I put into that. But you can get Starbastard, the singles, if there's some left, or the trade from the Scout Comics website directly. Or you can just follow me on Twitter. Everything else is just Kickstarter. So just follow me on Twitter and there'll be links to everything there.
Yes, and look out for the Damsel from Distress Kickstarter, which is launching in a couple of days.
Yeah, that's good.
Yes.
Nice.
So you couldn't even bring yourself to promote it then when I gave you an option.
I'm just the worst. Do you see what I mean? Hang on, I'll try. Here we go. It's going to be a great comic for you to pick up.
Lick my peanut.
Yeah. Just peanut emoji. I'm going to change that.
Oh dear. This show has been fun. You've been an absolute joy, and thank you for listening, everyone. Wherever you are in the world, we hope you're happy, healthy, reading comics, making comics, and just being the awesome people you are. From Dan, Tony, Andrew, and myself, have a brilliant week. And as always, what should they do, guys?
Stay awesome.
Stay awesome.
It works for me. Bye, everyone.
See ya.
See ya.